Hey guys, how's it going? I'm gonna set up this room real quick for me and Eric, and then I'm gonna send him the link real quick and we can get started. So let me just set this room up, and then once it's good to go, I'll send him the link and we'll get started with this session. Like I mentioned before, guys, this is a mentoring session, so I'm not gonna be able to respond to you guys in the chat. But if you guys wanna sit in on the session and just watch how I mentor Eric, he probably has the same questions you guys have, so it'll definitely help improve your guys' understanding of, I'm assuming, the new scalp strategy, which is what everyone's trying to figure out right now. So just sit tight. I'm gonna send this link out to Eric right now so we can get started. All right, he should be on his way. So I should see him here shortly. Let's get this finished right here and then we could be good to go. Hey, Eric, can you hear me? Eric, I'm gonna send you a message real quick. I just want to make sure you can hear me. Let's see. Okay, gotcha. All right, cool. So Eric's gonna set up his headphones and then we can get started.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, Eric. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Perfect. Doing great, man. Hit that TP on a US 30, so doing a lot better now. Been waiting for the trade like literally 24 hours, I feel like.
No,
Did you catch that yesterday, the daily entry we took?
I might have took some profits on it.
Yeah.
I didn't stay in it the whole time.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I pulled out like midway through, but then I also scalped it off this entry over here. So I made like pretty decent profit because if I didn't make the full profit off the first one, I actually made a decent amount off the second entry over here. So it worked out perfect for me.
Yeah, it's confidence has been a huge issue for me here lately. So I get that profit and I'm like, I've here lately it's like, all right, I'm gonna hold, I'm gonna get the full TP, you know, I'm gonna mind over matter, and then it's like shoo, straight back down. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. You know, it's definitely confidence. You know, it's confidence in the system, confidence in yourself when you take the trade. I mean, I've been in that situation a lot of times where I get out way too early, and then a few seconds later it hits TP. I'm like, dang, should have just waited.
And I've been the other way too, where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take profits, and it just drops, and you're like, that was good.
Exactly right. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's always good to have like, you know, a full spectrum of analysis with regard to your trades. You know, with regard to your normal strategy plus, you know, other fundamentals. Like I'm sure you're familiar with like the IG sentiment, right? Or have you looked at that before?
I don't think I have.
Okay, cool. So like IG sentiment is basically where we look at where all the retail traders are
Oh,
trading.
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I wasn't just familiar with it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I usually use this as like a last confirmation. Just so if I'm taking a buy and I see majority of people are short, it actually gives me more confidence that I'm trading the opposite of what everyone else is doing.
Because those banks are going to get their money one way or another.
Exactly. You know, it's funny because on Sunday, I think it was like 85% of people were short because everyone thought, you know, it hit an all-time high. It's going to have to drop. and then it did the complete opposite. Everyone got stopped out.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's. Yeah, I'm just kind of in a weird place right now where just kind of struggling to kind of all around right now, it seems.
Yeah, definitely, no problem. So I think you mentioned that you wanted to focus on the scalping strategy, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's the best option right now because even from my own perspective, the market's kind of been a little choppy, like on the higher time frames. So I feel like the scalping actually works perfectly. So that's what I'm most focused on right now as well.
I mean, it's been choppy on pretty much even the normal Forex pairs.
Hmm.
I mean, GJ and GU are really good ones to trade, and they've just been, they've just been just nonstop, not even really dipping back down. They're just going straight up.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's kind of weird. Like you'd expect it to go low because all the COVID news and stuff, but it just keeps pushing up. I was looking at the JPY pairs as well, like GJ. I think I was looking at earlier. This thing just keeps pushing up and up.
I mean, but both of them because they're looking at. I mean, there's spots for them to. You just think they're going to dip a little lower than they're going to, and
Keep
they
going.
hit, they just tap and go. And you're like, hold on a second, that's not.
Yeah, no,
But
definitely. I agree too, because yeah, I don't know, it was weird. On Monday, I think Monday there was a lot of COVID news, so I figured it'd probably drop for a bit, but it just kept going. So
I
I
guess
do.
it was better news. I don't know. It's I don't know. It's been weird here lately, especially last week with all that going on, and then this week everything's just pumping, and you're like, I don't understand why it's pumping because things are not back to normal, but I don't know if it's new presidency or what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah. No, things are definitely pumping like crazy, and it's weird too because for a lot of the indices, they're pumping back and forth. Like I think on Monday, it was literally going back and forth the entire day, and I was glad that I was scalping instead of taking like bigger moves because I was able to just get in, make my profit, get out, and then just rinse and repeat on the downside as it came back down.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I had because I watch you. I mean, more than not during the week, even
Hmm.
if I just have you on during work, and I might get in a trade, I might just be listening or just trying to watch you scalp or just take in that information. Um, there's some trades where I'm like, it looks like it's like there's times where it's rejecting off of two, um,
Two
like
pivots.
or even two pivots or even two support areas.
Gotcha. Yeah. So when that happens, I usually just avoid it. I just skip that one and I go for the next one because that's like, it's just too uncertain for me where it can literally go either way. So it's like flipping a coin. I'd rather have a better chance than having a 50-50. So if that happens, I usually just avoid it. I think we had an example for that recently where I actually took the trade and I lost because I didn't realize that it ended up rejecting off both points. Let me see if I could find it here. I think it was on Monday. There was one where it like right when the market opened as well. See the 7th.
Because when I was doing my analysis the other day on Sunday before the markets opened, I kind of took all the Forex I look at and indices I look at, and I kind of just like, all right, well, this is what it should do, and we'll see if it does it. And
Exactly.
I think I got over 50% right, so that was nice. At least I think 50% of my stuff's in profit, but like the indices did not. I thought they were going to dip down a little bit, and they just
Keep going
kept on
up.
going.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the JPY did the same thing, so um, should be able to get an example.
Yeah, definitely. I think I found the candle right here. So I think this is the one that we were looking at on Monday. And it was actually yeah, so there was a rejection on both ends. There was technically an entry for a buy and for a sell. Um, it was my mistake. I didn't realize that there was one on both ends. I was only looking at the sell. So I took the buy on this. Like you can see here, I don't know if you're looking at my screen right now, but you can see here that there's rejection from the top and there's also a rejection from the bottom down here.
Yeah,
So this was my mistake because I didn't have this zone drawn down here. So I just thought it was a rejection from the top. So what happened was I took a sell right here when I should have just avoided it. And then it ended up just doing a complete reversal on me. And then it stopped me out. But after this, I ended up taking the next trade. So thankfully I took the next trade. This, I think it was this green one right here. I ended up taking this, and then this ended up hitting TP. So it was it pretty much just covered my loss for the most part.
Now, why would you
that one actually? It was this one right here actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it was this one right here where the wick rejected off the structure and the pivot right there. So that was the one that covered my loss for that one. So thankfully it covered my loss. But if I could have just avoided this one, you know, I would have been out in profit instead of break even for the most part.
Now, what do you do for your? Do you not do a one for one, or do you do a for your risk?
I do 101, so I do 500 pips both ways. Because for the scalps, I usually just set and forget them. Once I have an entry, I'll just set the trade and I won't touch it all. I'll let it hit either TP or stop loss. Because the 500 pip range is usually a pretty good sweet spot where it'll go one way or the other. It's not going to like range for a long time before it hits. It usually hits within like maybe 30 minutes to an hour, depending on, you know, which session you're trading in. I think this happened during Asia, so it's kind of slow. But if you're trading this during US session, it usually happens like rather quickly.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is the sweet spot for US 30. This is the main one that I trade. I know others trade, you know, other indices, so I'm not sure which one you're focused on, but I think US 30 is probably the best one to apply it on since volatility is pretty high, and you can expect, you know, a TP or stop loss to hit like pretty quickly rather than having to hold on to it for like a couple hours, if not like a couple days, like Monday's trade, where there's like a lot of uncertainty and you're not sure, you know, exactly where it's going to go.
No, yeah, I definitely understand. I mean, it's bad, but it's also good. I like gold. I like US 30. I like I like seeing the money fast.
All the dangerous ones.
Is the bad thing. But I looked at silver, but silver's spread is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like you'll have to catch, like you have to cover that spread first before you make any profit. And it takes some time for you to actually make some profit off it. So I would just stick with gold because they move the same way. So it doesn't really make a difference, you know, to just take a smaller lot size on gold so you don't risk too much. But I would prefer to just trade gold over silver. I know a lot of people say silver is safer, but I don't really see a huge difference because if you put them side by side, they kind of move exactly the same.
They do. You can make a lot more money off of silver. That's why people like it. But they've been again higher risk too. So yeah, I agree. Someone was talking to me about that today, and I'm like, I looked at the spread, and I'm like, if it goes the opposite way, you're just trouble. I think it started at like negative $80 on a one lot.
Definitely. Yeah, geez, like the spread's 44 pips. That's a lot.
So,
dude, like you have to catch this much just to break even. Like you literally have to push like a whole candle just to cover the spread before you even make any profit.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, so if you're trading long on it, I mean, yeah, it's going to be very profitable, and but I mean, if you do the opposite way, you're going to get stopped out pretty quickly.
Exactly. Yeah. Cause you got to add that onto your position. And if you're going for like for example, here, if you were to take like a short here, your stop loss, I mean, your range would probably be 500 or 50 pips, maybe 50, 60 pips. And that's like nothing because you're literally going to cover the spread. More than half of that, like 42 pips is going to be the spread. And you're going to be able to lock in maybe 10 to 20 pips. It's not really worth the risk in my perspective.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I saw. I mean, I may or may not have taken a position and I made a quick $100 on it, but I'm like, I'm not doing this again. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think the volatility is just really slow on gold, so that's why the spread's so high. I know for gold, for silver, the volatility is low, so the spread's a lot higher. For gold too, it's a little high. It's like 80 pips, but you know, your range for this would probably be maybe 150 pips, if not 200 pips, and you could actually catch that pretty nicely off gold from like what I've seen, because I've seen a lot of people trade it, and I'm like, wow, this actually really hits pretty often. let's see. Cool. So, so for today's session, what should be our main focus? Just the scalping strategy? Did you want to cover anything? Like, did you find any trades that you found confusing or that you might have missed out on?
I did. I'll pull that up on my side.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I think this session, if you understand how the strategy works already, it'd probably be more beneficial if we go over stuff where you had some confusion or if you had a loss and you weren't sure why you lost, just so you can understand and you won't have that same issue moving forward with any other trades.
I dropped my mouse the other day and the scrolling is not working, so I'm having a hard time.
To scroll.
I'm trying to see where I marked all this up at. Yeah, so when I normally scroll, goodness, this is rough.
All over the place.
Well, because I use, yeah, when you have a do a different size and the chart goes crazy on you.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I just leave it on auto if I possibly can. Because it's not, I've used that scroll before and it makes the chart all messy if it over scrolls.
Now you use the SRV2.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, version 1 is just it's just one level of support resistance, but it doesn't give you all the multiple zones. So that's like that indicator would be good for trying to apply like a break and retest, because then you'll just have like one zone that you're looking at, whatever's close to the current price, and then it's just easier for you to identify break and retest patterns.
Okay, so I have I don't have the zones here anymore, unfortunately. I don't know what happened to them.
That's all right.
I have my find.
Gotcha. If you have the time, the actual candle, we can pull that up, and then I can redraw for you really quick if you have that.
Yeah, there's just I can't tell. Let's see. Let's look at, there's a zone at February 3rd at 8:20
for US 30, right?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, February 3rd at, you said 8:20.
Yes.
All right, cool. Actually, let me go to a clean chart so I don't mess this one up. US 30.
Also, do you have to have an upgraded version to replay charts?
I think you can use it on some of the versions. I think depending on what time frame you're trying to replay it on. I think if you want to replay it on the 10-minute, you would need the upgraded version. But I think if you're replaying it like on the higher time frames, it's available on the free one. But
I have Pro, so I have a paid version, but I don't know if it's not paid enough.
Oh yeah, that's weird. Here, let's see. Maybe we could find it, because I know that before. Well, I've been using TradingView for like years now. So back then it was actually everything was included, everything was free. But over time, obviously they start to implement and try to charge for literally everything on the website. Let me see if they have the. I think they okay pricing. Here we go. Yeah, so for Pro, it looks like yeah, the replay bars, it looks like it's only daily. Let me see if I could find it right here. Replay. Oh no, yeah. So if you're on Pro, it shows that you can do the replay on any of them. So on the free one, you can only do daily, weekly, and monthly. But on the Pro, you should be able to use any time frame.
That's weird. So I was trying to do it the other day, and it's all whited out. It won't let me actually.
Oh, it's weird. How far did you go back, or did you go from like the beginning, like the like where time currently was, or did you try to go like very far back? Because I know if you're on the 10-minute, the time only goes back so far. But if you're using the like the higher time frames, you can go back pretty far. So I think it just depends on which
I
one
mean,
you're.
sorry, even if I go to the front of the chart, it doesn't even give me an option to replay. Let's see. Yeah. It's weird. I don't know. I might have to just send them an email and say what's up.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I mean, it should work. I've never really had any issues with it. Have you tried using the actual app? Because I know TradingView, I just downloaded this app actually, the TradingView app, and it actually works really good. It works way better than the web
I heard
version.
about that. I heard about that one.
Yeah, you just have to look up like I'm not sure if you're on a Mac or if you're on a PC, but you can just Google TradingView Mac, and then it'll come up with like the download. And they have the Windows download there as well, if that's one that you wanted to look at.
Cool.
All right, cool. So let's go back to you said February 3rd at what was the time again? 8 a.m. you said?
8:20.
8:20. Okay, I'm just gonna put my cursor over it if this looks proper to you, so I can rewind to this time. This green candle right here.
Yours looks a lot different than mine.
Let's see, 8:20. What time zone are you
in? Eastern. So I'm 3 hours.
You're actually 9, 10, 11. So 11, I guess. Or actually, no, that doesn't make sense. It would be 5:30, 5:20.
But yours looks a lot. Yours looks how MT4 would look.
Oh, on my screen?
Yeah. How do you get it like that?
How does yours look? I'm trying to figure out what yours looks like.
It kind of looks more mushed together.
Oh, click auto right here on the bottom.
It is.
Oh, and it still looks mushed.
Yeah, can I share my screen?
Yeah, sure. Let me move you over. Which account is the one that's for your? Which one? Because you have like two accounts that are logged into Zoom. Which one is the one that you have access for your computer? So I can move you over to a host.
That's a good question.
Because you have one that's with your picture, and you have one that's just
without the picture. With the picture with my phone. That's my business profile. It's very professional, as you can see.
Yeah, no, I used to have that on mine too before. Let me go ahead and move you over to host on that account.
Okay.
You should be able to host. All right, cool. You should be able to, on your screen now, go to the share button. It should be good.
Yeah.
There we go.
This is how mine looks.
Oh, you're using a Heiken candle. So you got to switch back to normal candles. Go to yeah, that right there, and go to candles.
That's probably a little better.
Yeah, a little better. Yeah, a lot of people like to use that indicator. I mean, not the indicator, but those candlesticks. They work pretty good, but they kind of go. They're counterintuitive with the K2 indicators because the K2 indicators are based on momentum, and that's a momentum candle base. So if you put two momentum things together, you get like no signals. Like a lot of people always wonder, like, where are all my signals at? But I'm like, okay, you gotta switch it over a little bit.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
Definitely. And for your momentum indicator, you can actually change those settings to clean it up as well. So you can go to your settings for K2TS.
Oh yeah.
And then go to uncheck show MA curves. There you go.
I usually do. It always comes up every time I pull it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, and they're like, "Yo, there's so many lines on my chart." I'm like, "Okay."
Save this default. Yeah, that's let me just shoot. Sorry. All right, makes it a little easier to see. So yes, now it cleared off everything I did. So maybe. No, it didn't. Okay. All right, so it doesn't have, this is the place I was talking about, but that doesn't have, it might have fixed the issue having it on these.
Oh, was it because the candles look like it was an entry on the other ones?
Yeah, 100%.
Gosh, yeah. Because the problem with the with those candlestick patterns is that they're based on moment, like they're not based off time. Like for the 10-minute, each candle is like a 10-minute candle, but when you're using the other candles, they're not based off time. They're based off a momentum movement or like volume per candle. So it's not going to be like on point with regard to the rejections, because you'll see that they move like in a smooth line versus normal candles here where they actually move how they normally move.
Yeah, no, 100%. That makes a whole lot more sense. So fantastic. Yeah, because this one was a.
Oh, it looked like a buy.
Oh
Or
no, well, it did. Which I don't know if it could have been a buy if there was support here because it rejected off of this pivot, but or a sell. So it should have been moved over there. There it goes. Looks like the other candle made it look bad. But yeah, so it's funny. The other one's they're still
lined up properly.
yeah, good scalps on there. I think I asked you about this one the other day, and so that one was covered. I think that was one of the areas where I kind of focused. I have this other indicator on here that's kind of solid. It's for the 15, but every once in a while, I use it with the indicators you have, and like this one, it's pretty much the same exact where the scalp was.
Oh, nice.
And it kind of just ensures that, or like this one, it's a little premature on a buy, but for like this one, it's not really a good sell. I mean, so if I use it in conjunction,
like a good confirmation, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. I know so many people sell all those like algo type things that they're supposed to use in combination at 75% effective, and
yeah, no, I mean, if it helps your analysis, it wouldn't hurt to use it, because I know there's a lot of people in the group that they also use different indicators from different companies that they've used in the past, and I guess it helps them with like certain things that they're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, there's other ones I use too. I mean, I overdid my thing. That's the only problem about Pro as well.
Oh yeah, you can only have X amount of indicators on at a time.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, if you just want to go through some and we can talk about it and I can point them out and see if I'm doing it correctly, that's kind of what I want to look at as well.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah, if you want to like pull one up that you were like confused with, or one that you kind of just want to look over, I can confirm. Like I can have you actually analyze it, and I'll tell you, what's right and what's wrong from there. If there's any changes that could have been done.
Yeah, we'll do it where here, since we actually have a clean chart for the most part, support and resistance.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want to replay to that specific candle, that might be even better. Like when
there it goes.
Yeah, and you can replay to like whichever one that you want to analyze, so that we can have the zones during that time. Because obviously, on the 10-minute chart, the zones change pretty drastically versus on the higher time frame.
So the first one I see is this. Let's see if that's the first. Probably the first one in here. Now, what would this one be right here? This candle. Because it looks like it rejects off that pivot and that support.
Off the that one right there. Yeah. The one that you just had your finger over.
Yeah.
That one right there. So that one. Let's check. Yeah, let's check. Yeah, draw the zones first, and then we'll see what. So I guess just draw the that lower zone, that one that's projecting off. We'll just draw the ones that we're actually like focused on, and then you can hide the indicator so that we can be a lot easier. Have you
Now,
seen it?
how do you use the? Let me get rid of that. Sorry. Now, when you draw a box, which one do you use to make it go across the whole screen?
So go ahead to your rectangle that you just drew, and then go to the settings, or just double click on it.
Yeah.
There you go. And then you go to extend right and extend left. There you go.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me that. That's something that I just found out recently too, like probably a couple of months ago. It's a new addition that they just introduced, I think, late last year, which has been like amazing because it makes it so much easier. All right, cool. So we can hide the K2SR indicator so it just cleans up the chart. So let's hide that, and there we go. So we were looking at that red candle, right? So go ahead and rewind to that candle. Yeah, and you can probably go forward by one, and then
Did I do that right?
yeah. So just move it over by one candle. So click on that one, the one on that on the right of it.
This one?
On the right of that one. Yeah, that one right there. Just click on that. There you go. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at that. So is that green pivot touching the body? It's kind of hard for me to see because it's kind of far off. If you could I know your zoom doesn't work real well right now, but if you could zoom in somehow, use there's a magnifying tool somewhere. Oh, right there next to the ruler.
There it is. Maybe. All right. Okay.
Because if you can see it, right? Because I can see it from here. It looks like the green pivot is actually touching it. I'm not sure if you see it as well as
It almost looks like.
Oh, okay, I see. So it does look like a pretty decent rejection off it. It looks clean. Can you check what day was that? Was that Sunday? Because I think I may have taken that trade too. The 8th? No, that was yesterday.
If we.
Yeah, so that might have just been a losing trade. Honestly, let me see if I could pull it up on my own chart. Let's see.
Now I know it's not 100%. I mean, no strategy is gonna be 100%. If that case, everyone would have that strategy, and the banks would figure out how to break it.
Exactly. No, I agree 100%. Yeah, no, definitely. Let me go back to that count. So that's on the 8th. Oh, I see it. I think I see it. Oh, okay, I see where it's at. Like, I'm gonna pull up on mine real quick. Okay.
So, I mean, I just want to make sure I'm doing it right. Not that I'm.
Yeah, no, definitely. So this is one thing that I found. So go ahead and go back one candle to that opening candle. I mean, yeah, go back just one to that one that we were working on. And then just go forward by one.
Oh crap.
It's all right. There you go. Yeah, so let's here, this is what I noticed. So go ahead and delete your zone.
Yeah.
And then turn on the K2SR indicator. And you'll see that there was no zone there. So we wouldn't have taken that trade right there. So we would have avoided that one.
We would have gotten in.
We would have gotten in that green one right there.
Boy, what about the red one before it?
Actually, that red one's good actually right there. Yeah, that red one's actually perfect.
I wonder, do you think that zone was there? That's the hardest part, looking back, like, oh, that's a good trade, but there's no zone there.
Exactly, yeah. So like for me, I like to forward test, or I'll go back to like a certain entry, and then I'll actually analyze it from that point. So it looks like there's a zone there, I think, right? Okay, so this one was a little tricky because that red zone above there, I don't think it's connected to the one below it. So depending on how you analyze it, because some people drew a zone where they connected it, because generally there's like two zones, right? Like there's a lower one and a higher one. But I think a lot of people didn't realize that
That's not good.
Yeah, the zone's actually one zone, but it's so small that it just overlaps. So you can see that red line's a lot darker than the other ones below it.
Right. So
technically that wouldn't have been an entry unless you identified it as a zone Because I know some people did take that trade and they identified that top zone with the lower one below it. So they just made one huge zone. But in reality, that wasn't a zone there. So that was like a lucky trade if, you know, someone ended up taking it.
So, I mean, to make it valid, there would have been a zone right in here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's kind of one of the tricky parts that I came across. It's like, okay, it's rejection off of a zone and a pivot. But what if the zone's up here and the pivot's down here? Is it kind of, I got confused at one point in time. So that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, like before, I used to do this strategy without the zone. So this strategy is actually one that I used without the zone, but I wanted to increase the win rate. So what happened was I had to figure out, you know, a way to make it better, and that's where I like incorporated the zones. So technically, you could have taken that trade, but it would have been a risky trade just because, you know, it just doesn't fall within the requirements for the most part.
I mean, it would have been well, because I know a lot of people, especially for futures, or they will use just the moving average and take buys and sells off of rejection off that.
Yeah, that's one way that I used to trade a long time ago before too, when I used to trade futures. But it's very risky. It's super risky. Like you could have you could get lucky and have a hot streak where you just keep winning, but then you could have a bad day where you're just having straight losses. And that's why I added the extra confirmation for the zones, which seem to work pretty well overall with, you know, pretty much all the trades that we've been taking.
Yeah, this guy said he only does it with the ES futures, and he said he wouldn't recommend doing it on anything else just because he's proven that that strategy works on that specific future. And I'm like, okay, I'll believe you. But okay, no, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely. So if you ever go back and you see a trade that you think looks good, it'd be best to just go and replay it and then see if there's actual zones there. Because the zones are way different compared to like the 4 hour. For like 4 hour, I can mark up my zones on Sunday and they'll be good until like Wednesday. And then that's when I update them as the price continues to move on forward.
100% agree on that, because I mean, unless you're GJ or GU or US 30, I mean,
Exactly.
I draw a couple different 4 hour zones for them today, but
Yeah, exactly. Because the normal Forex pairs don't move that much. They move, you know, a decent amount, but not as much as obviously, you know, the JPY pairs and the US 30.
so there's a trade right here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, where is this? Where's my little floaty guy? There he is. So we took it right there.
You're looking at the green one, right?
I'm looking at the,
The red one before it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at my screen too. So I'm just marking it up as you mark it up. Yeah, that looks like a perfect entry right there. You could have actually stacked a couple positions there. Generally, when the trend's really strong, I start to stack positions up. So do you understand how the pivots dictate how the trade is strong?
Yeah, because then you had another one.
Right next to it.
Yeah, well, you had a,
Yeah, you'd have that red one, that green one. There's another red one a couple
yeah.
down, and there's another red one. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
You had
7.
this green one right here.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's about like 8 entries there, I think. It's a lot.
that would have been a nice little trade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If the pivots are spread out like they are right there, like you can see where they start to spread out right before that entry. That's generally when I'll start to stack positions. If I see the pivot spread out really nicely, that's going to indicate that a strong uptrend is about to happen.
Now, with these, the hard part is that now would these be entries, or that one be entry, since it's technically not cleared?
Yeah, that's fine. So the first green one is good. The red one right after it, that's good. Because it doesn't necessarily need to clear the zone. It just needs to have a wick rejection off it, indicating that price is pushing off it. So that one's good. That red one's good as well. That green one's good too. That red one's good as well. maybe you can move that little.
Wait, sorry. Yeah, that's my.
So
No, do you say this red one's good?
yeah, that red one's good because it's
Oh,
reflecting off the yellow pivot and the structure.
so it doesn't. Does it matter if the green one's going through it?
No, because the rejection is off the yellow one. So you're going off the lowest pivot. So for example, for that red one right there, since
Fun.
the wick, yeah, since the wick rejection is going off that yellow pivot, you could ignore all of the other pivots because that's the main one that we're looking at.
Okay.
So that one's good. The green one right next to it's good. The red one right next to it's good as well. Because it's rejecting off the yellow one, not the green one. And then
Right.
that green one's good as well. And I think the green one over like 4
This one.
right there is good too. And I think that's about it. And then that red one right there as well, right before the shoot up. Not that one because I don't think it's rejecting off the structure, but that red one, yeah, it's rejecting off that red pivot right there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 entries there. So if you missed the first one, you could have caught, the second one, the third one, the fourth one. There's a bunch there that you could possibly take it.
So the only zoom back out. Yeah, I mean it didn't even dip down that far.
Yeah, it was a pretty smooth push up. I think I took that. That was on the 8th, I believe. Yeah, so yesterday, I think. So I took one of those trades. I think I took 2. I took that first one, that first red one, and then I think on that red one before the big move up, I took that one too, because I saw the rejection and I was like, this has got to shoot up, and then it did. Thankfully.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense because my thought of it was if any of the pivots were going through the candle, it wasn't a good entry.
Oh no, yeah. So now that I've cleared that up, it's just the farthest one that it touches. So for example, if it touches the red one, which would be level 4, you could ignore like the red, yellow, and orange since those are the lower pivots.
Okay. Makes more sense then.
Yeah, no, definitely. It clears up a lot. I know I haven't made like the official video for it. I'm probably going to start it up soon. I'm just trying to test it as much as I possibly can to see if I find any other inconsistencies so I can include like new requirements because I hate like creating videos and then like the next day someone brings something up and they're like, hey, you should change this. And I'm like, oh, I know I should have.
Now, what about this one? Let's see if I can. That candle right there.
That the green ones, let me see, that's February 8th at 11:50. Let me see if I can pull that up on mine. February 8th at 11:50. Trying to find it on mine. There's a green candle before. Okay, I see it. Let me pull it up on mine. Over here.
So let me see what it actually does if I even get out of this. There it is.
So I'm looking at that right now. Let's see. I do have a zone right here. Oh, you know what? I remember this. This was yesterday morning. This is when we were, like you see how those previous candles are kind of like bouncing all over the place. Like there's like really big moves compared to the ones before it.
Yeah.
So when that happens, I usually just sit out the market because there's just it's just too volatile. Because if you look at every candle, they're pushing up like thousands of pips. So if you were to scalp any of those trades, you can easily get kicked out of the trade if it ends up spiking the other way temporarily and then it spikes back the other way. So whenever price is moving like really crazy, like you can see from that entry candle back about 2 hours and 40 minutes, each of those candles there are pushing at least like 500 to 1,000 pips each. So when that's happening right there, I usually hold off until it starts to smoothen out or just calms down a bit. And then that's where I would start to enter some scalps. But you can see like prior to that big candle where it shot up, it was moving smoothly. It was just small, like, smooth movements.
Yeah.
And right after that, it started going pretty crazy. It was spiking back and forth. So, I mean, if this is new to you, I mean, I'm sure it's not like brand new to you, but like for a new trader, I would just recommend sitting out unless like you really know what's going on with the market, because last thing you want to do is enter a trade. And I think if you enter this trade right here, this probably would have lost. So I'm gonna mark it up myself, because that technically would have been a sell.
Yeah, because you got that big candle right here that's gonna kick you out.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because I just marked it up, and it looks like it just ended up spiking back and forth. Let's see how many pips. Like each candle was like 300 pips each. So you're getting really, really close to stop loss and TP. And that's usually when I don't want to trade, because those types of trades are what stress you out, because it goes into drawdown, then it goes into profit, then it stops you out, and you're like, damn, I should have just closed out.
Yeah, like dang, I should have closed out with some profit rather than minus 500 or.
Exactly. Yeah. And for me, like the way I trade, I'm pretty conservative. Like I only take trades if if I feel 100% about it, then I'll take a trade. If there's any uncertainty, then I usually hold off on it, and I just wait for the market to smoothen out. Because you can see from right there, like right after those crazy movements, you can see when the trend starts to swing up, and then you can see the pivot start to spread out, like right after that little section there. That's when I would start taking trades, because I'm like, all right, the pivots aren't crossing over like every other second, and it's starting to actually smoothen out from that point. So that's when I would hop back in.
So like anywhere where it looks like this, kind of, you might want to back off a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. If I see
Like
that,
these areas.
exactly. Yeah. When you see a lot of consolidation, you see the chart looking messy, that's where I would take a break. And generally, if I was to take a trade like within that area, once I take a loss, I just sit it out anyways. So even if you were to take a trade like that same one that we were just looking at, if you took that trade and lost, it was for a sell. So after I would have eaten that loss, I would have just waited for it to swing upwards for a buy, and then that's when I would take the next trades following it. So it's really up to you if you want to like test the waters. Some people like to test the waters and see if they can get lucky and catch a trade during those consolidation phases. But for me, I either just sit out of it, or if I do take a trade because I don't realize that it's consolidating, if I take the trade and I lose, then I just wait for it to swing in the opposite direction, and then I'll take trades in that direction.
Because I mean, you could easily. I mean, so what do you do if you say you get a? Where's that one? You have this trade.
Mm-hmm.
Oh goodness. Send it back. There it goes. I accidentally messed up some of the settings, so it. Yeah. So you have that trade. Obviously, that's where it goes. But then a few more down, you have this one. So what if you have two entries that go the opposite way?
Two entries that go the opposite way. So for that one small candle that we were looking at, that sell that would have lost.
Yeah, because you would have had this one down, and then this one would have. It's like this one.
Oh, the small one, yeah. So check this out. So mark up that one that would have lost, and I'll show you like how I would have analyzed that. So just what you can do is you can just hide the K2SR. I think it'll spread out your chart a little bit. Usually it does. It usually brings a little closer. You know what you can do? Yeah, drag from that price range right there. There you go. And then you can drag. Oh, it's a little neater. So now go to that candle where we would have entered. I think it would have been right.
This one.
Yeah, just move your enter like a short position there, and just see it on your chart.
Yeah.
And then just set the stop loss to like 500, so you can see where you get stopped out.
Wait.
A little higher, 50. So just pull it up a little bit.
Right there.
Yeah. Let me see the entry. I think the entry might be a little high. Yeah, so the entry is a little high, so maybe pull it down a little bit. Yeah, that looks better. So now just drag that over to the right. So let's see where you get stopped out, because for this specific position, I'd hold it so you get stopped out. And then if you get stopped out, you would have understood that you're done already at that point. So I think you would have gotten stopped out at that green candle, because I'm looking at it on my end. and I have it marked up right here. It looks like you would have gone stopped out at that green candle before that red one.
Yeah.
So at that point right there, so I would have skipped all the trades in between there. I would take that loss, and then on that red candle following it, that would be an entry for a buy, right?
Yeah.
So I would take that loss for a sell. I wouldn't take any more sells. I'd wait for a buy, which would be that following candle, and then I would cover that loss right there.
So you wouldn't cover any more in between. So even if you would have gotten, I think it was either this one or this one was a buy.
Exactly. Yeah, that green would be a buy. So it depends. So right there where the pivots, you see how the pivots are kind of messy.
Yeah.
So at that point, I would have just avoided all those and I'd wait for it to clear up, like I mentioned earlier.
And like right here.
And then it clears up once it gets to that red candle right there. So then I'd feel a lot more comfortable and not so uncertain about that trade at that point.
Well, that one's kind of contradicting too, because you probably wouldn't have taken that one.
The red one right there.
Yeah. Right.
Let me check.
Yeah, the red one, because it bounces off the support up top too.
Let me see real quick. Mine, see where my zone.
That's
Actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Oh no. So it would only be contradicting if it was an entry from the top as well. So we would need a pivot rejection off the top and a zone rejection.
okay.
If it's just a zone rejection, it's fine because we just ignore that anyways. Because like when the candles indicate that momentum is coming, more times than not, it's going to break right through the upcoming zones. I'm not sure if you noticed, but like for US 30, it doesn't respect the zones as often. Generally, if there's momentum there, like if there's like market makers or institutions wanting to push price up, they'll push it right through the zones. Like it doesn't even respect it at all. Not like Forex where price will get to a certain zone and then it'll bounce off it. For US 30, it's a little different. Like if there's a momentum indicating from the pivot rejection, and then you tie that with the zone rejection, it'll indicate that momentum is going to push up. But even if it's pushing up and there's a zone right above it, more times than not, it usually breaks right through it. And that's pretty much what happened right there for that following green candle.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I think this has cleared up a lot of questions and concerns I've had off of what we're doing and then what I'm looking for. So that really helps. I needed to. It's kind of hard to ask you to do all this when we're in this zone, doing it live.
In there.
But no, that's awesome. No, I appreciate it, and I'm gonna work on this tomorrow a little bit during the day and see what I can come up with, and maybe send some charts your way for some feedback.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about repetition. Like this strategy, you can tell that it's super simple. All you have to do is identify those requirements. And then once you actually identify them, it becomes second nature. Like for me, like even on live session, I'll look at a trade and I'll see it right away and I'll just take it. I won't even think about it. I see it and I take it and I'm like, okay, if I win or I lose, it's fine because the next one's probably gonna win. So it takes away the stress and the uncertainty after you've applied it so many times.
No, I can 100% agree. It makes it pretty simple and in and out, and yeah. Exactly. I like it. I'm gonna stop the share, but unfortunately, it is almost 10:30 my time, and I have a 3-month-old, so I gotta.
You gotta get some rest because you're gonna be busy.
I'll be up around 3 or 4 o'clock, and then up at 6:30 for work, and then rinse and repeat. So
exactly, the life.
The life, yeah, something like that.
Exactly right. Yeah, no doubt.
But no, I appreciate your time tonight, Shawn, and I'll hit you up and see if I did any good tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely, no problem. If you want to have another session, if any other questions come up, just feel free to let me know and we'll schedule. Otherwise, if you just want to send me charts, that's probably gonna be the quickest way for me to just confirm your trades.
Cool. Yeah, I can definitely do that.
Sounds good.